Okay, so today we're going to dive into the story of a dog with a brain so powerful it's kind of legendary. We are, of course, talking about the brilliant, the intense, the absolutely incredible Border Collie. You've seen this look, right? The famous Border Collie eye. It's this gaze that's so focused, so incredibly direct, that it can actually control a whole flock of sheep without making a sound. So you have to wonder, what is going on behind that stare? What really makes this dog tick? And look, this isn't just, some empty claim. This is a reputation that is backed up by some seriously mind-blowing examples. You might have heard of Chaser, a border collie who learned the names of over 1,000 unique toys. 1,000. And then there's Rico, who could pick out 200 different objects just by name. For these dogs, intelligence isn't just a fun party trick. It's literally who they are. Okay, so to really get a handle on that intelligence, we've got to go way back to where it all started. And the clues? Well, they aren't in some fancy dog show ring. They're out in the harsh, windy hills that actually gave the breed its name. So picture this, for centuries, shepherds in this really cuff border country, we're talking the rugged line between Scotland and England, they needed more than just a dog. They needed a true partner, an animal that was tough, tireless, and smart enough to work for hours and hours in any kind of weather, handling sheep across these huge, difficult landscapes. And this necessity led to a simple but powerful idea, the working collie. And these were not dogs bred for a certain look, a particular color or coat type. Nope, they were bred for one thing and one thing only, how well they could do the job. Brains and instinct always came first. Beauty was a distant second. So, shepherds were working on these dogs for a long time, starting way back in the 18th century. But there are a couple of really key moments. First, 1893, a dog was born that would change everything. And then, fast forward to 1915, and the breed gets its official name, the Border Collie. That's when it really cemented its identity. All right, every great origin story has a hero, right? Well, for the Border Collie, that hero, the dog who basically became the father of the entire breed, was named Old Hemp. So this dog, Old Hemp, born back in 1893 and bred by a farmer named Adam Telfer, he was something else. He didn't herd sheep the old way, with a lot of chasing and barking. Instead, he had this quiet, powerful, almost intimidating intensity. And that became the blueprint for what we expect from a Border Collie today. This quote just says it all, doesn't it? A quiet, powerful dog to which sheep responded easily. It perfectly captures his whole style. It was a completely new technique. He was using his presence, his brain, and that intense stare we were just talking about to move the sheep. It felt more like a partnership than a dictatorship. And his style was so good that shepherds from all over wanted a piece of that magic. They brought their dogs to be bred with him. And get this, it's believed that Old Hemp sired over 200 puppies. He basically single-handedly spread his incredible genes all throughout the working collie world. Just think about that for a second. That means that every single purebred border collie on the planet today can trace its family tree right back to that one dog. A single dog, born over 100 years ago. He didn't just influence the breed, he is the breed. So, after Old Hemp, the breed's reputation just exploded. But as things started to get more official, a huge split happened. A divide that created a debate that's actually still going on right now. So in 1915, they officially adopted the name Border Collie. And this wasn't just about coming up with a catchy name. It was a really deliberate move to protect what these dogs were all about, their work. They wanted to draw a clear line between their dogs and the Scotch collies that were being bred for looks in the show ring, dogs that were starting to look and act really different. And this really brings up a huge question for the future of the breed, right? Can a dog really be both, an elite athlete and a beauty champion? Can you breed for a specific standardized look without losing the very intelligence and drive that makes a Border Collie in the first place? And from that point on, you basically have these two completely different paths. On one side, you've got the working line. Here, breeders are all about instinct, intelligence, herding ability. What the dog looks like? Totally irrelevant. But on the other side, you have the show line, where the focus is all about meeting a physical standard, beauty, structure. And this clash created a real risk that by chasing looks, you could water down the very intelligence the breed was built on. So, what does all this incredible history of intelligence and pure drive mean for the border collies we see today? Well, it means that legacy is absolutely alive and kicking. And while, yeah, plenty of them still work on farms, that amazing herding instinct has been channeled into so many other jobs. I mean, they completely dominate in dog sports like competitive agility, flyball, and disc dog. Their brains make them amazing at search and rescue. They're obedience champions. They're even therapy and assistance dogs. Basically, that deep-seated need to work and solve puzzles, it'll find an outlet no matter what. And this is the key thing to understand. For a border collie, that intelligence, it isn't an option. You can't just turn it off. It's a need that absolutely must be satisfied. It's like having a high-performance engine that is always running and demanding a job to do. Without that, without constant mental and physical challenges, they can get bored and even destructive. It's a need, not just a talent. Which really leaves us with one final big question. The entire history of the border collie is a masterclass in breeding for a purpose, for a job. And it really makes you think. We're always marveling at how smart the dog is, but maybe, just maybe, the real question isn't about their intelligence. Maybe the real question is, are we smart enough for them? Are we ready for the challenge of a mind that literally never stops?